2 plays, and they capitalized on it. And one of those plays resulted in a red card.
Talk about what happened there in the first half and falling behind by a goal right away, and then maybe not being able to get to halftime with the one goal deficit.
Yeah, we shot ourselves in the foot on 2 plays, and they capitalized on it. And one of those plays resulted in a red card. And you can't do that in big games. And over the course of the day, again, I think they had more guys show up than we did, and that's a concern. But I thought we were playing ourselves into the game a little bit. But we have to learn how to not play ourselves into the game in these type of moments. And this has happened a few times with us, and particularly at home, when we seem to gain momentum and play better as the game goes on, but not able to show up in the right way with the right quality. It was a day when the field was poor. It was a physical game, and I think in some ways it suited them. With the 2 big boys up top, I think they did a really good job. And again, they took advantage of 2 mistakes that kind of changed the game. Whether it's a red card or not, I don't know. We can all debate that. Is it a clear chance? Does he get a clear chance at that point? I don't know. I think it's a little harsh, and I think on the potential foul on Donovan, if you put your hand on somebody and maybe he slips, maybe he's pushed a little bit, a lot of times you get that call. It's a good lesson for him. That ball needs to go up the field. It's a big game, and you don't want to be caught in that situation. So unfortunately, he learned a lesson today. And again, in a game like this, everybody has to show up and not learn lessons.
You mentioned their size up front. Was that an influence on playing 3 center backs, or was there something else behind that?
No, it's just how we've been playing with it. Again, we need to figure out how we tweak this, because right now we're not good enough. And so we've got to make some changes. That could be tactical, that could be personnel. So we'll take a look at that.
How did Chris and Paul doing?
Paul's okay. I think Paul's just had a tight muscle that we wanted to be smart with. And then Chris is a different concern. Something wasn't right with his ankle. Twist, pop, something. I would expect him to be out. So that's also a little bit of concern because of Russell being out. So now we have to look kind of within, or maybe externally, look at the market right now and try to fix that hole.
Your hands were forced a little bit with the red cards and the injury, but putting more back into the game at the left back, switching Rodriguez around, and even the late game with Adoy Atom, are those things that you can look at as possible changes that need to be made to this team, or are those
Sure.
specific to this game?
Sure. There's a little bit of next man up in making those moves, but yeah, absolutely. Chris gives us a different dimension. He's not 90 minutes fit up until this point, but we can get him there quicker. So, yeah, so we'll look at a few different things this week. And, it's an interesting time for us because we can go 2 ways from here. This is a moment. This is a game where we can respond and have a real charge at this, or we could go the other way. So we'll see what I'm made of, and we'll see what the group's made of.
And a quick follow-up to that, Rooney played in the midfield during the All-Star game. He's played there. He pulled back a little bit this game, adjusting in the game. How much of a viable option playing him in the midfield do you see for DC United?
There's always an option there. The thought behind that was just to get someone a little bit more dynamic going forward because we knew we'd be defending. It'd be more of a transition game. So his passing's at a really high level, and it's always an option. So we'll take a look at that as well.
You address your team after a loss like this?
I did address them, yeah. And again, you have to be careful addressing teams after this. And sometimes it becomes more about me letting off steam than actually benefiting the group. So managed to somewhat find that balance, but sometimes it's, again, yelling at your team after the game is selfish. Today was partly about the team, but partly just selfish.
What you said already, what can you take from a game like this to help the team heading into the final stretch of the season?
Just that it's a moment, it's a gut check, it's a punch in the mouth, and we'll see who can respond from this, who can now respond in the right way and get on board to give a little bit more and show up when it matters and not be late to these type of nights where you have a lot of fans that are looking for entertainment, but they're looking for wins. And we have not given them enough of that as of late in this building, and that hurts. It's an important thing, not only for standings, but also just for our brand. I understand that, and I apologize. I don't think that's not a lot of fun for them. Second half, we dug in there, and the guys gave everything, but again, it's easy to compete when you're down, fight, and be desperate. Good. Thanks. Thanks.
Welcome to another edition of the Focus TV. So happy to be with you guys this week. So much to talk about, man. There's so much to go over. Really don't know where to start. We got Octavia White here, Cardell Dudley. I'm Wilson Tarpey Jr. Thank you guys for tuning into the Focus TV. All right, so I guess we get started. So DC United's manager, Ben Olsen, talking after Sunday's 5-1 loss to Philadelphia. It's a game we've been talking, we've been keeping you guys updated on DC United's place in the standings. Well, after that loss, they are currently just 4 points above the playoff line. In their home record this year, they're 4-5-4. Last year, in 15 games after opening Audi, they only lost 2 games in those 15 matches. Like, they were on fire as soon as the building opened. All right, so I feel like everybody probably knew by now, it was trending at one point today. Credit to the Washington Post, Stephen Goff, and the Athletics' Pablo Maurer for having it first. This season will be Wayne Rooney's last in the MLS and for DC United. From a release from the team this morning, with the consent of DC United, Rooney completed negotiations to become a player coach for Derby County in the English Championship in 2020. Rooney, via the release, I remain fully focused on giving my all for the team for the rest of the season and repaying the support shown by the Black and Red faithful by hopefully delivering an MLS Cup to Audi Field. My time in Major League Soccer is something I will always be proud of. The supporters in the Screaming Eagles, the Barra Brava, District Ultras have made my time in America so enjoyable. While the decision to move home was a tough one, family is everything to us, and we make this change to be closer to the ones we love back in England. The opportunity to go back home and start the next step of my career in coaching was a factor that made my mind up. I would like to thank everyone at DC United for the incredible support my family and I have received over the 2 seasons at the club. So, from a soccer standpoint, obviously, big blow. We talk all the time, especially with athletes, they talk about, how important the off-the-court home is, families, and, sometimes I think as fans, sometimes you get jaded when they talk about that part of their lives and the importance of it. It's not something that should be overlooked. So a lot of people talk about whether, him coming here was a failure or whatnot. There was nothing but positive. The way this team closed, to hit that level, I don't think they get to where they were last year. I know it was a playoff loss, but even to finish as one of the hottest teams in the league last year, that doesn't happen without him here. The growth for so many other young players, the impact it has, it's going to be something. And the other thing is for a brand that was DC United been looked upon for a while as just kind of being frugal, being cheap, and not spending money, right? Upon, Audi opening, they go out and get him. That's one heck of a splash. We know, the age they got him in. But in terms of his productivity, crazy. Since these 2 years, he's been super productive. The other thing it led to, the signings like Paul Areola, so Luciano Acosta. We got some guys coming in now. DC United's trying to get back to what they were. This is a club that won 4 MLS Cups already before. There's a standard. Anything in sports, there's cycles. You go through them. Trying to get back to where they used to be. But there were some other notes from today. A lot of stuff happened. So give me a second. Got to take a deep breath before we run through this next part. All right. So DC United has acquired $212,500 in targeted allocation money in 2019 in exchange for $62,500 in general allocation money and an international roster spot. DC United also acquired Vancouver Whitecaps midfielder Felipe Martins in exchange for $75,000 of 2020 TAM and an international roster spot in 2019. Martins has a green card, so he will not occupy an international roster spot for DC United. Per Kevin Baxter and Stephen Goff, the LA Galaxy have sent Emmanuel Boateng to DC for cash. This move is yet to be confirmed, so there's not a press release for that at this time. Once there is, you guys follow us on social media, we will kindly share that as well. In terms of Martin, he feels an immediate need. There's, with Moreno being suspended after getting a red card in the last game, Durkin went down with an injury. Russell Canales went out with the game prior to that with a collapsed lung. The middle of the park is in sore need of, just healthy bodies. So getting someone who can immediately come in and play is literally a huge thing for them. Obviously, going to be interested to see what they do tactically because we don't know. That's a big issue to not have your guys in the middle of the park. All right, it's a huge issue. Also, Boateng, if that deal does go through, we know the pressure that Paul Areola puts on teams with his pace, his ability to just stretch a back line. Boateng, known for a similar thing. Another guy with speed. If that does go through, that can only help if you have not one guy outside, but 2 up the flanks that can really put pressure on opposing defense. One of the things that's been, going around the rumor mill, potential signing Ola Kamara was at practice today, according to Emily Olsen of Pro Soccer USA. He headed to the field following the first 15 minutes, which is open to media for days where the training session isn't completely open. Kamara's had success in MLS, scoring 48 goals in 90 appearances. So this is something that we just talked about, the team struggling to score. It never hurts. One thing that I would, at least, again, this is me, and I'm sure others expect this as well, if this Kamara signing does go through, according to Goff, the signing will become official Wednesday, which is tomorrow. You can put him up top, either alongside Rooney, or you can drop Rooney behind him. And that kind of shores up some of the midfield where Rooney can be in the middle of the park, help facilitate. He is surgical as a passer. That can help them make a stretch run. Finally, we're done with the first segment of the show. When we get back, we're going to talk a little Mystics. We got some Maryland football. Can't wait to talk about that. P.I.T.S League, 56th week of the 9-4-50 breakdown. Yep. Shout out to Jamaal Haywood. Consistency, something we applaud here. Octavia's NFL segment returns. We got that.
Don't we have a name for it?
Octavia's NFL segment returns.
Don't start.
We're not doing this.
Don't start.
Not yet. Give us at least to the end of the preseason. And then rapid fire. So you're watching Focus TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, the Washington Mystics segment, they were on a road trip. They were heading on a road trip.
Right. Last
time we spoke, it was a three-game variety with an asterisk on this third game. Mm-hmm. Because, back in July 5th, the Washington Mystics led the Las Vegas Aces 51-36 before the game had to be postponed. We brought up Mother Nature. It was a the natural disaster variety back then in July 5th.
Right.
So Washington went to Seattle, they beat the Storm by 20.
Mhm.
Then they went to Phoenix, and the Mercury put the balls on. They won by 21. Brittany Griner deserves to get a lot more credit for the growth of her game. She was a problem before. She's literally, Cardell, I think you said this, last week? When they met last time with Elena Deladon and Brittany being in their primes, watching some very, very, very good players. How special that was, and Brittany definitely put on the show. And then they closed out last night. They only had a half to play against Las Vegas. That where they were down a couple players. Point is, this time of the season doesn't really matter who's there and who's not. The results is all that matters. They won by 29. Cardell, just your thoughts on how you think the road trip went before they got a 3-game homestand coming up.
I mean, the road trip, is pretty good, obviously, but it's just Phoenix. That's kind of concerning because that's a team they very well could see in the playoffs. And right now, I mean, you take away the first game, Deladon wasn't there. You don't want to count that. So, all right, cool. They wasn't in full strength, but they don't have Tarazi even.
Yep.
And the last game with the Mystics won here at home, it was a close game. The Mystics were up. They walked them down, and I think they saw something that late in that game when they came back that they utilized in the last game that they played, and Phoenix just took it to them. But you highlighted Griner. We just got to give her a props, man. I know, the women don't want to always compare it to the men, but I have no other way of putting it other than to say she's kind of in, Shaq 3P mode. That's the level of dominance she's at. Because, she had 28 points, 9 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 2 blocks on 78% shooting from the field in the game that they just won, which was on, Sunday or whatnot?
Yeah.
She only missed 3 shots. And it's consistent. It's not even, it's not just that game. The game here, it was the same. It's the way she's even passing out the double team. They coming, and Tabal is drawing up some stuff. They coming from all angles to try to trap her, make her, she just takes her time, finds the open man, and when they're knocking down shots, there's nothing you can do. And they really riding her to wins right now to try to make a playoff push. And this is with DeWanda Bonner not even doing what she's capable of doing. And then on top of that, you got to always keep in mind the way the defensive presence she is. It's to the point where they don't even like challenging her across the league. They just leave her alone. They go in there, they just dribble around and come back out and run something. So you have to just acknowledge her dominance. And I think the Mystics have to be careful of, they're known as a finesse team.
Right.
They don't really have a lot of bigs that like to bang at all, you know what I'm saying? That's where Griner thrives, and that's where I'm kind of concerned about moving forward. They run into Griner in the playoffs. You run into the Aces. Even the Sun to a certain extent with John Quayle and Alyssa, at the Sparks, if they make a run. They had bigs that can bang, take it inside and out. They're going to have somebody outside of Deladon, even Meesman. Meesman played some solid defense, but the Griner just made tough shots. That's what players do. Other bigs got to step up and be willing to match them physically up front. The guards are fine. On the perimeter, they get physical. They do what they got to do. But up front, they're not consistently physical when it comes to bigs. And that's something worrisome because in the playoffs, we know how ugly it's going to get physically and stuff like that. So if you can't handle it in the regular season, I don't expect you to just flip that switch in the playoffs to be ready to do what you have to do. Another thing that they have to, the Mercury shine on, and I'm also starting to notice that's a concern for the Mystics. Quick guards that can shoot. And Lonnie Mitchell, she's destroyed them over the last 2 games. And the first game, she was kind of quiet. They kept her in check. The last 2 games, she just exploded. She's averaging 25.5 points, 7 assists, 1.5 turnovers on 62% shooting from the field, 59% shooting from deep in the last 2 games against the Mystics. She's just going to work on that. And last but not least, the Mystics' defense against them has been non-existent. Over the last 2 games, I'm just counting games with Deladon is there. The Mercury is shooting 54% from the field, 44% from 3, 96% from the line, dishing out 28.5 assists. It's just thorough, efficient domination across the offense. They're not even feeling them. That's what I mean by the physicality. You got to match that. So that's just something to look forward to, to keep an eye on moving forward, because those little areas are things that's going to be amplified in the playoffs, and if they don't correct those things, You know, the running back thing is not going to fulfill what it's supposed to fulfill, man. They got the team to win it all. But it's just a matter of they just, sometimes in sports and basketball, it ain't even about talent, skill, X's and O's. It's just about will.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to just get it done. I don't care who's in front of me. So who's going to be that outside of Deladon?
And
See, that's another question we got to just see. So we'll see moving forward.
Yeah, and mentioning Deladon, the streak she's on right now, the zone she's in, it's ridiculous. What you just saw about the physicality, they definitely get a chance. The next 3 games at home, Fever, Lynx, and Storm.
Yeah.
Especially the first 2. There's some size in the paint. You obviously McCown was a rookie, but 6'8" is 6'8". Sylvia Fowles is Sylvia Fowles. There's nothing else that needs to be said right there. And then the Storm and the Storm. You know, they don't have the mass down there, but Natasha Howard's going to be down in the paint. Like, we know that for sure. As is Crystal Langhorne. And the other thing I wanted to say was congrats to former Terps and current Mystics forward, do it all forward. Tiana Hawkins, she reached the 1,000-point mark in her career. Shout out to her for that. And then obviously just stay with us this week. We will be at all 3 games during this homestand over, it's going to last until next week. So, definitely some Mystics coverage. But Cardell, I want you to, take the floor here. This is a new segment we're going to have in our show going forward.
Maryland football, man. Happy to be covering them this upcoming season. Fresh face, Mike Loxley. People don't know came from. He was a former assistant with Maryland. Went down to Alabama. Became one of the top assistants for Nick Saban. Obviously, they won a lot of championships. A lot of successful players going in and out of the NFL. It's his first year as head coach of Maryland football. And there's a lot of optimism. Obviously, his pedigree, his recruiting ties, from being from the area, being here before at Maryland, and just his connections nationally. Obviously, he kind of got the job kind of late in the recruiting process, so he was smart enough to go the transfer route. Transfers, guys that experience, that know how to play, the learning curve will be short. Bring them in and try to close that gap, and get Maryland back to the prominent days from when he was an assistant on the fridge, when they was Lamar Jordan, Sean Murray, man, I can throw out names for days, when they was up there, top 20, top 25 year in, year out. So, definitely checked out some film on the transfers because it's a nice influx. You obviously got the, Josh Jackson coming from Virginia Tech. You have to, I loved him at Virginia Tech, very efficient passer, deep passer. He might be the most talented quarterback they've had since, probably, it's been a minute. And that's no knock against all the quarterbacks that played. He's just proven, I just love his ability, obviously, but, they got to get it together, get the chemistry, the line or whatnot. Keandre Jones just got cleared, they ruled him eligible, coming from Ohio State. You got Shaq Smith, another linebacker from Virginia Tech. I'm not from Virginia Tech. You got another linebacker he's from Clemson. You got Sean Savoy from Virginia Tech, who played at Wilson High School in D.C. And I'm just looking for, and Tyler Mabry from Buffalo. I definitely checked out him. I never heard of him before, but I checked out film on him. He calls himself more of a blocker, which is cool, but he got great hands. He runs routes well. So I think he's going to be a definite weapon for Jackson. So, like I said, man, I'm just excited to see how he meshes it together so quickly with him getting the job so late in the process, and with the talent that they already have, and kind of checking all the egos at the door, putting it together, nucleus, and just being competitive. Big Ten, to me, second best conference in college football behind the SEC. So it's gonna be tough. You know what I mean? They got some heavy hitters coming, Penn State, Michigan, among others. So they're gonna get tested. You know what I'm saying? But they definitely have some games where they can win and surprise a lot of people if they're competitive, and that's just what I'm looking forward to, just being competitive, because I think this first year will really lay the foundation on if this era will be successful moving forward, or if it's going to be kind of more the same what we've seen in the past few years. Not even, and I'm just talking about on the field. I'm not going to craziness off the field, So, it's a wait and see approach.
Yeah, you mentioned all the transfers. They're going to be huge with a young team. That the vets that have experience, because there's so many players on this team that coming off of freshman seasons, very talented freshmen at that. Obviously, McFarland set the record last year, freshman record last year. as a running back with 1,034 yards and back-to-back 200-yard games. Interested to see how he's going to be utilized in this offense. You know, just to see who proves himself.
Right.
You know, it's a new era. You know, it's kind of a clean slate. You know, anytime somebody cleans house or, you know, regimes change, everyone looks at talent differently. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is how certain people fit. And just who's just going to show out. Now, obviously, a piece of news I'm sure most people are already aware, Deshaun Jones will miss the 2019 season after tearing his ACL in training camp. That news was released this week. And we're definitely looking forward to covering Maryland this year, the three of us, so that will definitely be fun. On to the P.I.T.S League. August 3rd results. Bird Gang defeated Team Anonymous 53-47. In overtime, J&R's Mob defeated the Firm 58-49. Core defeated Sam Ballers 104-102. No losses. Rich Grills defeated Young Kings 87-79 in OT. Campaign defeated the Firm 65-62. Deadstock DMV defeated No Losses Rich Grills 66-61. Hawks defeated Museum 84-64. VA Pride destroyed Gifted Athletes 81-43. In another blowout, Baseline defeated YOLO Team 103-77. As for August 4th, No Losses Rich Grills defeated YOLO Team 92-89 in OT. Goon Milk defeated Young Kings 86-63. And another blowout, this time No Losses Rich Grills was on the winning end, defeated the Campaign 70-47. Some quick notes for the P.I.T.S League: no games this week. Nominees for this year's season awards will be announced this week. Playoffs start the 17th of August. Games will be at First Baptist Church of Glen Arden, Family Life Center, starting at 4 p.m. And now for the 56th week of the 9-4-50 breakdown. Jamaal Haywood breaks down a 1-foot fade. Again, Jamaal Haywood breaking down a 1-foot fade. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the break.
And welcome back, welcome back. Once again, shout out to Jamaal for the 56th installment.
Yes.
Pumping them out. So, back to my favorite segment ever, I won't call it what I want to this week. I'm saying that for the season starting.
Just know if you
but
say anything out of pocket, I will literally put a disclaimer on air. So, keep that in mind.
But the NFL season is back. It did start off, just a quick note, with the Hall of Fame game that happened on the 1st. It was an amazing class that went in this year. So many talented players and team personnel and people that were a part of this, from Tony Gonzalez to Champ Bailey to Ed Reed to so many more people that were inducted into the Hall of Fame this past weekend. And just to kind of give a little bit of information on a couple of them, some of the biggest names on the defensive side of the ball went into the Hall of Fame this year. I would be remiss not to talk about the team that was up the road with Ed Reed, who played for the Ravens, but he did also play for the Titans as well. Jets. I said Titans. I meant to say Texans. But Ed Reed, 12 seasons, 174 games. He was the 2004 Defensive Player of the Year. He's probably picked off everybody's favorite quarterback at one point in your life. Even watching the Hall of Fame game when they did his interview during the games, he said it was, just a couple people he wish he could have got to. But nobody has a roster like he does, when it comes to doing what he does and being at safety. And just to hear him talk about how much it meant to him and how much he felt like football was made for him. Even I can't even remember exactly how he broke it down, but talking about where his parents met when he was born, just kind of like aligning all these things up, what made him just feel like he was supposed to be who he was, and he was who he was. So definitely congratulations to him for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was a no-brainer for him to be a part of that class. And then another person on the defensive side of the ball that I'm sure Cardell is a big fan of as well, your man Champ Bailey, one of the best that ever did it as well. Champ he was around for a while, and he did a lot of great things. He played since 1999 all the way to 2013. He played in 215 games, 52 interceptions, what can you not say? He had punt returns, kick returns, rushing touchdowns. He received a couple of passes and everything. And, he is, that name in Denver. There's always going to be great players that played in Denver, but you can't talk about Denver without talking about Champ. Of course, he was here.
I'm about to say, the NFC East,
and she definitely was going to make that.
I was getting there.
If memory serves correct, you know what? I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
That's petty.
Thank you very much for y'all pettiness. I was getting to that point. He also.
I was waiting for it to be like, so 2 players that are holding out.
He played for the Redskins too.
Oh man.
But
address that now.
he came to the Redskins and he started off, with the Redskins. But to me, when I hear Champ Bailey, I think about Denver. That's, I feel like that's what it is. That's who he is. So they capped off a great Hall of Fame weekend. Even, Tony Gonzalez, as much as he played as well, and he is, if not the best tight end ever, arguably one of the best to do what he did as well. Moving on a little bit to a little bit of NFL news that's going on, although, yes, the preseason does officially start this week. Thursday, games start, and it's on from there. Preseason is well underway. But there's a couple of players who's not sure if they're going to play, what they're going to do. We were just talking about the home team Redskins here. Trent Williams is on a holdout currently as well. And from sources, what they're saying is it's not all money related. Of course money is involved. Money's always involved. But a lot of reports are saying that he's really concerned of the state of the Redskins franchise. He's looking for extensions. He's already supposed to get $20 million over the next 2 seasons. But he just has, he has this feeling that the trust with the franchise has broken down and it can't be repaired. So they're kind of at a stalemate right now. It's kind of like who's going to move first. So I'm sure the Redskins are, well, I mean, hopefully both parties are interested in coming to a good agreement, whatever that may be for both parties, but we shall still see. You know, he still has not reported to camp, from my understanding, and preseason starts this Thursday. And everybody needs to get reps in, and you always know your first team usually plays in the first game, and then it dwindles down as the preseason goes on. So this is going to be a big deal for them. Another person that's currently on a holdout is your man Zeke. It's like the NFC East don't know what they want to do this year.
That's normal.
That is definitely normal. Definitely normal.
Whole league chilling, NFC East.
Up in an uproar, what's going on over there. But Zeke is on holdout as well, although his holdout seems to be completely money related. But Zeke is looking for a longer term deal with more money. And to be honest, although I am a proud Eagles fan, I understand where he's coming from. You know, you got to look at it, you know, what Le'Veon did last year and the precedent that that's going to set for other players who feel like they deserve that as well. Zeke should get paid. And from reports, they don't expect his holdout to go past the preseason, if even deep into the preseason. Jerry Jones is apparently looking to get him a deal done before game 1 at least. So I don't think there's much to worry about there, except for the fact that he's not there. You know, he's not at camp, he's not with his team. And is that going to, you know, mess up any morale, any diva-ish ways that people will start to look at? You know, only time will tell. Hopefully it won't, because, you know, Zeke's play speaks for itself. You can see, although there have been reports in the past couple of years, you know, it looks like he will take a game or two off when he's upset or a little bit, you know, in his feelings. But Zeke is Zeke, and they would be crazy to let him go. So for their sake, I hope they get the deal done. For my sake, I hope they don't. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. Got to throw some petty in there with the NFC East. I apologize.
Of course.
Another running back that's on a holdout, Melvin Gordon, who actually even requested for a trade. And his is looking like it could last until at least the regular season as well. Even just looking at some of his stats from last year, you know, he played in 12 games, 175 attempts, 885 yards. He averaged 5.1 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns, 50 receptions, 490 yards, 4 touchdowns, you know. So he's a good producer for them, and as well as they did last year, it would probably kill them not to have him. So hopefully they're looking to get some type of deal done that will suffice for him and make him feel, because I feel like when it comes down to stuff like this, they don't feel like they're valued. So hopefully it's something that will be done that will make him feel valued and be able to get back to football and get back to the team and, you know, do what they, you know, go forward on to the season, you know, because even looking at some of the predictions for games, playoffs, who's going to be in the playoffs, who's going to make the Super Bowl, you know, I've seen some predictions where they've already said the Chargers are looking like that they should make the Super Bowl, you know, so that's a big deal, especially the season they had last year to progress to that, you know, that's of course the end all goal for them. So hopefully they're able to get it done for that as well. And lastly, please, if you have not seen the picture, please do not look at it. Because I can be completely honest, the first time I looked at it, I almost like upchucked right when I saw it. Oakland Raiders wide receiver Antonio Brown is having a lot of feet issues right now. Reports are saying at first, basically he posted a picture on his live, and his feet look like they're falling apart, literally, skin peeling off. It was first reported that it looked like blisters, but it has since been announced that apparently his feet are frostbitten from going into the cryotherapy machine without the proper footwear. If you close your eyes, if you're looking, if you can't take it, if your stomach can't take it, like mine couldn't, I can't look at it no more either. But it literally looks like his feet are shedding. You know, it's cool. I'm sure football players have bad feet because there's a lot. I equate them to ballerinas' feet. If you ever seen ballerinas' feet, those are some things. These are women that are actually on the tips of their toes on a box of wood and dancing. So those are bad too. This is worse than what I've seen because it's like his whole foot is like shedding itself. It's like a snake. It looks ridiculous. Apparently right now he did go see a foot specialist already, and he's regarded as day-to-day, but he hasn't been able to practice recently, obviously due to his feet. You would think the type of caliber of player he is, the one thing that he wants to take care of is his feet as well as his hands. So hopefully, you know, with the foot specialist that he's gone to, and you know, apparently Gruden is still trying to piece together all the information to figure out what's going on. Hopefully he is able to play sooner than later. You know, I would hope that this doesn't deter the entire season. I don't know how bad it is. I don't think there have been too many reports that say how bad it is. But looking at that, I don't know how much somebody can run and cut and jump, get hit, your feet get twisted up, don't get caught at the bottom of a pylon. You know, it can get pretty bad. So I wish him a speedy recovery. And hopefully he, you know, his feet are better soon. Lastly, just to give a quick area news for preseason. Like I said, preseason starts this Thursday. The Redskins will play the Browns Thursday at 7:30. Also, let's see, you have my Eagles will play the Titans at 7:30 as well. The Cowboys will play the 49ers at 9 on Saturday. And then the Reds, I said, yeah. Oh, the Giants. I forgot they were even in the NFC East. My bad. They'll have the Battle of New York with the Giants and the Jets. They'll play on Thursday at 7.
She's in playoff mode, man.
Bro, already. I don't know what's funny. My Eagles, the thought of like the foot special, like, what do? We need to thaw your feet out.
He needs Sinead from Martin when she brought the drill out.
The buffer.
The goggles and the wig came on. Yeah,
because I honestly don't know, like, what type of.
Like, I'm sure there can't be anything you can do is wait till that thing runs its course.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what type of medicine or what type of procedure would they do for something like that?
Ooh, that's gonna hurt when you lose all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you go to the, like, as a woman, I go to the nail salon, I get pedicures. They, you know, they.
And you gotta worry about shoe shots when he finally do come back, when he underneath the pile.
That's what I'm saying.
Hitting his feet,
depending on how bad that thing hurt.
Even just your foot going back and forth in your shoe, running, like
the type of socks you wear, you know, the spikes and the cleats, all of that. You know, the type of turf. You're gonna be on a turf field, you know, a grass field. How you plant, like,
your foot in the
yeah,
shoe.
man, that's tough. So.
Oh, my little 2 seconds about the holdout people.
Mm-hmm.
I think Melvin Gordon, like for Melvin Gordon, I feel kind of bad because like they drafted his position twice over.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you were just paying attention, Melvin, they not tripping.
Like, what you gonna do?
And let's be for real about it. Outside of 1 year, a couple years ago, has he really killed enough where it's like
not enough to be making this demand?
Exactly.
I don't think so either. Because even when I always think about it, I don't know if it's more so because I always think that the Chargers get a quote-unquote bad rap just because I feel like they don't get enough publicity. A lot of people, if you're not a Chargers fan, you're not really checking to see Chargers games. Like, I may not be a Cowboys fan or I might not be a Saints fan, but I'm going to watch them play. You know, I feel like for the Chargers, they don't really get that. But I still feel like when it comes down to top-tier running backs right now, are people screaming for Melvin Gordon?
Like, I feel like he's one of those dudes that's in the conversation, but it hasn't happened enough to be talked about like
On this
Levy,
magnitude.
with the trade or
it's gotta be
something like
consistency. Like Ezekiel got an argument because of the damage he's done from day one.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Even with all he still balls, Le'Veon, same thing.
I just
He
don't
ain't
think
on
it's
that
been
level.
that. I don't
He's
think
not
it's
on
been
that
enough
level.
yet. You know, like that's my biggest thing is like when we think about the Chargers, we still thinking about Phillip over everything, right?
Yeah, that's the first
So-
thing. I mean, I sometimes still thought about Antonio Gates.
You know, and then like if it's not Phil, you thinking about
And you
Keenan
gotta
Allen,
understand,
and now you think about Derwin before you think about.
and you gotta understand the standard from running back for that franchise with Damian Thomas.
Yeah.
The damage he did, it's not even a debate. It's
Yeah.
it's not close. So Nah,
It's
but,
tough, man, but
Like if
like I feel him, but it's not gonna happen there. I just don't see it happening. But, you know.
Guess we shall see.
Go ahead, man. Rapid fire was good. Let's go ahead and get this over with, man. You know, let's go.
Okay, first question. NCAA just issued
Yeah.
rules for agents of
Yeah.
NBA hopefuls. They sent it to the agents on Monday and it's been circulating today. In the memo obtained by ESPN and many other outlets, you must obtain, for new agents moving forward, you must obtain a bachelor's degree. You must be NBPA certified for at least 3 consecutive years. You must have professional liability insurance and complete an in-person exam taken at the NCAA office in Indianapolis in early November. Agents also will need to fill out an application to have a background check. Many people are calling this the Rich Paul rule as well. Documented he doesn't have his bachelor's degree. He's not tripping over it either. But obviously we're fully aware of the damage he's done being an agent in the NBA for the past since he started in 2012. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't really know. For me to be honest, on one side, I want to think it's a good thing that they're trying to. To me, it feels like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that they're trying to at least, protect some of the players, depending on the type of agents that may try to come, represent them. So at least, but then at the other side, it just makes me feel like the NCAA once again is just trying to have their hand involved in everything that's going on with that player athlete. But I mean, I really don't know what to make of it.
I think it's a convoluted. It's a whole lot, right? I don't think it's a cut and dry thing. The Rich Paul rule, I do think it fits, right? Because when we hear that, first person we think of is Rich Paul in this case, right? For the student athletes part of it, yeah, I do think some of this is good for them, right? There's a lot of times where these athletes don't get information across sports, period, right? Make bad decisions in the representation, and it costs them on the back end. How many times we hear about players 8 years down the road, they've been getting millions cipher off of them for years. After the Rich Paul part of it, yeah, he shouldn't be tripping at all. Like, he is what he is. It doesn't affect him, right? I think it's to prevent the potential next Rich Paul to a degree, right? And for that part of it, I get some of it is that, yeah, obviously it's an old boy circle. They're not gonna want a bunch of us in it, right? Mm-hmm. Which I definitely think that is a factor here. I also think another factor here is that the way that Rich and Company may move played a role into this as well. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's why I said it's kind of it's a lot. It's not just a cut and dry thing. But go ahead, Cardell.
Like I said, I just feel like it's definitely connected to him and other minority agents. You got to throw Uncle Dennis in there.
Yeah.
Guys like that, where your family kind of can come into a situation, and because of the clout of the player, the quality of the player, they can make waves in the league. Of course, people are not going to be happy about that. The suits. A lot of guys that the powers that be in the agent game, they're not going to be happy with that. My thing, yes, they're talking to Rich Paul. It's unfair in a sense, but they also kind of have to take a little responsibility for how they've moved over the few years, and that's something that's not being talked about. I'll just make an example. Let's say, I'm Rich Paul, when I'm representing LeBron. Y'all the Cavs. You black, you whatever, Andrew Wiggins or something. So you get drafted. She just came on board. I announce I'm coming back to the Cavs. Okay. Now all of a sudden behind the scenes, Rich Paul, that's been well documented. Anybody hating or whatever, just been well documented. Yo, I don't think Black the coach for LeBron. He hasn't really coached in the NBA. All that. Okay. Andrew Wiggins, young, talented, but we ain't got time, man. We trying to win right now. Boom. So you get traded before you even play a game. You get fired before you're really even getting a chance to show your stripes. Y'all are represented by agents. How you think that's gonna feel? And then that circulates. And he does that, you know, it's been moves like that year after year after year. Go to LA, do the same thing. Basically, when, you know, Lou Walton and a lot of their players, those normal guys got moved. So you have to look at it like that. Those people that represent those players are pissed because your agent is telling you, hey, this is a good idea, good job to get started with the Cavs. Whenever you probably had more offers, but you chose that job. Now all of a sudden when he come, everything just changes.
Yeah.
Right then, you see what I'm saying? Like, so of course they're like, you know what? We're gonna be on get back when we get a chance. We're gonna be cool for right now, but as soon as we got a chance to hit them, and this is not really even agents hitting them. This is just NCAA. You know what I'm saying? Hitting them right now. Now, obviously, I feel like it don't really mean anything because I think in a few years the NBA is going to allow them to come out of high school again anyway. So the rule would be stupid anyway. But my thing is, so he will always have clout or whatever for what he's done, and he will always be a rich kid because, you know, his affiliation with LeBron, Ben Simmons, and plenty others. That's not even the issue. The issue is trying to, like he said, trying to deter more future Rich Pauls, so that you can't just get in the door because your man and you know all that stuff like that. Not saying him, he put in work. Like, I'm not gonna knock Rich Paul. He's put in work. And I'm gonna tell people, go listen to the Jalen Jacoby podcast. He was on it recently, and he really broke down his mind frame and how they built the company and everything that went involved with it. He's a bright dude, like he's sharp, and that's one of the reasons why there's so much negativity coming towards him because he's very sharp and he's unapologetic about it. And then you know how it is. It's a lot of hate. They just feel like he's on because of LeBron, but it's a reason why LeBron put him on. LeBron's not a fool. Like, he's not going to trust his livelihood and everything, his business and stuff to some people that just his man because that's his man. It's like he's asking for drama to happen in his life and stuff like that. He was strategic. He empowered. He gave his boys lemons and they made lemonade. How can you knock? That's what everybody should be striving to do. So you can't knock none of that for him. But at the same time, some of the, how they've done it has ruffled feathers. So they got to understand it's going to come. It's just like, I kind of thought, the Jazz will come as LeBron clearly slows down. He's not the top guy no more. When he retires, I thought that's when they're going to hit him hard. It seemed like they started early. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing with that. Sometimes you just got to move behind the scenes quietly. And they've been loud about how they move and stuff too. They're unapologetic. It's arrogance. So the mother agents like, nah, y'all gotta chill. You know what I'm saying? So the NCAA come down on just to try to check all that, and that's really, like I said, for him, and to prevent more Rich Pauls, because we all know in the AAU circuit is this term called handlers, and they're all in the mix. It's really to stop them, and they're really our kind, riding with players and stuff like that. And when they get to a point where the NBA come calling, they got, they on that radar, there you go. You're saying now, so I'm his representation, I'm his guy and all that. And you have no qualification to do that, and you out here making crazy demands, and you're really hurting the player. You know what I'm saying? And you got to know that you got to know the business and stuff, and that's something Rich Pauls has been great at. Look what he did with Darius Baisley and stuff like that when he bringing him out. So it's just that, but it's not. Most of it, I say about 90% of it, they trying to jab on whatever. But 10% of that, they brought on themselves. They kind of opened up Pandora's box where it's like, they can be attacked because of some of the movements that they made that were just unfair, that ruffled the feathers and the landscape of basketball, because LeBron's such a big time presence and stuff. When you do certain things like that, come on now, we read the articles where he going to Adam Silver, like, don't you think, do you really think Luke Walton's the coach for the Lakers? And Adam Silver, like, what you want me to do about it? Like, I cannot step over that line. It's just certain things where it's lines that can't cross. And so, all that plays a part, man. But, once they make the rule, come out of high school, it won't really matter. So, next question. Carmelo Anthony interview. He talked about a lot of things, especially on how the Rockets let him go. His quote was to sit there across from a GM of the team and to hear him tell you your services are no longer needed. That was an ego hit. That was a pride hit. I started questioning myself after that. Can I still do this? What did I do? I asked him that. What did I do? He said, you didn't do anything. It's just not working out. That's what made me feel like that somebody in power that tells you we no longer need your services. I've been utilizing my services for a long time. For you to tell me you don't need me anymore, I honestly felt like I got fired. Anthony went on the cover of a broad number of topics, including his decision to resign longer with the Nuggets, and then team up with D-Wade and LeBron James with the Heat. And, we obviously, what came later, Chris Bosh joining them, they became the Heat, who was 1-2 rings and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that whole interview?
My man, Melo. I think it's a lot of truth in it. I think a lot of it came down to the way he perceived things, the way he processed things, the way he looked at the now rather than the future. He even comes out and says, I was worried about securing guaranteed money, all those things, as opposed to what the other people were looking at and, trying to win and then get the guaranteed money on the back end. So I think that it just came down to how he moved in his own career. And I think he didn't bank on him having the drop off that he had. I am a realist when it comes to things. I love Melo. I'll always be a Melo fan, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Melo that we've seen these last couple of years is the best Melo in the world. That's not it. I don't think that he thought that he would have this drop off. I think all of the hype that he had coming out, coming off of winning a chip with Syracuse as a freshman, going number 2, and, going into the NBA alongside LeBron, I think he felt like that was going to be it forever, And with the drop-off that he had now, I think that if he knew that would have happened, he would have maneuvered differently earlier in his career. They say hindsight's 20/20. It's too late, to worry about that as of now. You've done what you've done. You did what you did, and this is the position that you're in now. And either you can fix it or you can't. I've even seen, quotes where he's talking about he's sure retirement's coming soon, things like that. I mean, he has an impressive career to a certain extent, but I'm sure it's not what he thought it would be. I feel like most of his accolades came in the Olympics more so even in the NBA. He's a great Olympian. It just didn't transcribe all the way over all the time in the NBA. And I really feel like it has to do with the moves that he decided to make, whether it was him by himself. We just got finished talking about handlers and agents and all those things. If it was things that were put in front of him that he just thought maybe that would work. Maybe if he had better representation, who knows? But at this point, it's nothing he could do but live with it and move forward. Continuously talking about it ain't making it no better. I understand, that people want to know because of the caliber of a player he was and where he currently is. And like he said, to get released by the Rockets, I think he was there for 10, 15 games. Like he said, that should have been an ego boost for the type of player that he was coming out of college. So I feel for him. Maybe we'll see him in the Big 3 a couple of years. I don't know.
Jeez, threw the Big 3 on him already.
He talking retirement, so what else is there to do?
Yeah, I thought it was cool to finally hear him talk because we've heard everybody talk about his situation but him. So it's cool to hear him finally talk. It's interesting to listen to what he had to say. What Miami would have been like is crazy had that happen, just thinking about it. I also think I don't think he should be done in the league.
I don't either.
Right?
I agree.
I also feel I kind of think it's one of those. I think the biggest thing for him, like he talked about, was the ego.
Mm-hmm.
He can accept that part. He shouldn't have an issue with the league. Also, as far with the Rockets and Daryl Morey, we were just talking about the way people move. That's not it right there. That's trash, right? Especially when there's a certain type of shot that said person is pretty decent at, where your team just completely ignores and is given on a regular basis. That's quite funny to me. That a guy who lives in the mid range, your team gets given the mid range, doesn't take it. You don't want it. Cool, no problem. But yeah, it was cool just to hear him talk, man. But I hope it's not over for him.
Like I said, I just think he. I agree. I wanted to hear. It's good he came out because everybody was talking about his situation by him. Sometimes quiet can be bad because sometimes you got to just set the record straight and then keep it moving. One thing I did respect is that he owned the mistakes he made. You know,
Yeah.
some of the decisions he made, not buying in to certain teams when they was trying to get him to play a certain role, and he fought it. Now, to his credit, he said that they didn't really communicate that, but maybe they didn't communicate that because when they suggested it, how you reacted, and they just like, you know what?
Receptive to it,
Yeah, they just like, we ain't even trying to deal with that because they understand stars can get you about the job. So
Right.
they, you know, they throw little things to you to see how you react. The Houston thing was grimy. Obviously, we all aware of that. You know, guys like Daryl Morey, he wants to win, but he wants to win his way, so he can prove that analytics can win championships and all that. Instead of just adjusting, we always see when they get to the playoffs to a certain point, they don't adjust. Teams adapt, and they get them up out of there. And that's that. The thing about Melo, man, he's a cool dude. You know, he's very likable, just real chill. Just chill dude, always been like that, man. You know, since we, you know, even when we played against each other in five, like he's always been low, just chill. You know, that's the Melo name fits. It's not just half of, you know, of his name. It's just his how he carries himself too. But the reality is, man, he came to the league in 03, man. It's the 16th year.
Yeah.
And even at his peak, he was an elite scorer, okay rebounder, you know, good rebounder for his size and whatnot. But that's all you got with him. He didn't make a lot of players better. Defensively, you hoping. You see what I'm saying?
Liability, yeah.
Exactly. These days, you have to be able to guard because of the rule changes. Like even back when he first came in, he can kind of get away with it. Even though he'll move his feet, you can still kind of use your body and arms to kind of. Now you really have to move your feet because as soon as you touch him, it's a foul. Now your age, 16 years, you wasn't really a defensive stopper at your peak. So now you asking them to do that. You got to play the 3-4. Your athleticism gone, so you're not gonna be able to shoot over like Anthony Davis and Greek Freak and all those guys. So you can't play the 4 no more. Then you got to be on the 3. You're dealing with, you know, Kawhi, Paul George, and still LeBron and all that. Now LeBron can get away with it because he's always been an otherworldly athlete.
Yeah.
So as his athleticism ways, it's still better than most.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? Plus, he's a multi-dimensional player. He can do a lot of things and stuff like that. Melo, that's why I look at players like, man, you can be a great scorer, but if you don't add other dimensions to your game, once that goes away or teams figure out to stop that, you're not helping us. You see what I'm saying? So it's hard to keep him on the floor where, think about it, he even said this on first take, he was the 3rd or 4th option in OKC, even when he went to Houston, depending on how Eric Gordon was playing. You know, even with Capella. So a lot of times he might have been the 5th option. So we're not relying on you to score a lot of points, and then defensively you're a liability. It's hard to keep you on the floor. And that's what a lot of people choose to ignore, their defensive end. Yes, can he help some teams? Yes. But they got to be the right situation where it's a lot of players that can hide his deficiencies and allow him to do what he do. If he got to go to a team where they have to rely on him, it's going to be hard for him to stick in the league because teams going to pick and roll all day, ISO. I'm going to get him up out of here. We're going to attack him, get him in foul trouble, yeah.
Do you think there's any team?
I mean, obviously, LA, you could throw LA out there, but they got so much firepower, man. It's just, they got a deep team, you know. Somebody suggested here, but that's not a good we in rebuilding mode. Maybe Denver, if he's, because of the Connolly's, the Baltimore connection, and that's if he's willing to accept a certain role. He can teach those, like they need them, they young, so they still trying to learn how to, you know, play off experience and stuff. Maybe he could do that, play like a bench role, come off,
Be like a
score
Jared
stuff like
Dudley.
that. Yeah.
Type of role.
Yeah, exactly. Do that. Teach him. Then when he get in the game, knock down shots when he get his chance and stuff like that. Plus, it'd be the team, kind of like a last hurrah for him with the team that drafted him and stuff like that. Where if this is his last run, he could do something like that. Maybe even Portland. You know what I'm saying? They need somebody that can knock down shots. Dame and CJ gonna demand so much attention and stuff. And with Whiteside, the lobs off the pick and roll and everything, he could be wide open and do what he need to do.
I can see that.
Plus, you got Whiteside back there to clean up stuff if you get beaten.
Yeah.
And I think Whiteside's gonna be motivated because if he don't hoop,
He don't know he gonna be in the same
you know what I'm
position.
saying? And plus, you got leaders with Dame where it's not on it. So it's a couple teams I think he can help. But
I was gonna say my one. I had two actually. My one would be Golden State, just because they don't have a wing off the bench right now.
you got strapped all that.
No. I know that, but at the same time, thinking about some of the players they've had past 2 years, there was ever a place that can kind of mask that for somebody. would kind of be there. And literally, I literally mean off the bench with that unit. The other place, but I think you'd have to wait a year. Because right now, I don't think you can play there now, would be Brooklyn.
Okay,
But like those are two places where I'm literally just talking about off the bench. Like I don't anticipate you being on the floor with those five on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Where again, you got somebody where if you're on the floor with Kev, you got a whole mobile moving. It's like having another big on the floor with you. And Golden State, if you end up on the floor with Dre, we've seen them do things in the last couple of years when there's guys on the floor that are limited defensively. Those are the type of teams that can make up for it. So it's just thinking.
The only thing with Golden State, Steph is the willing defender, but sometimes it's iffy with him just off his natural ability. And then D'Angelo Russell, I'm not sure if he's a good defender.
Yep.
So you can't have those three.
No, and that's why I'm saying it's weird because like you can't put them.
And that's why it's hard to have them on there because they're going to have to keep one or two of those guys on the floor because they don't have the depth like they did before. And if he's out there, teams going to prey on him. That's just the league. We've seen it with the Wizards.
Really?
When they see you can't defend it, they're vicious with it.
Honestly, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
So you are removed from the floor.
And we got to get you off. Exactly. So he got to go to a team where even if he get beat, they rotate.
Like you said, the bigs be huge.
Yeah.
Or, I guess, what's it called? I don't know if they have room, but like, Miami off the bench. I know Whiteside's not there, but you got Bam down in the paint.
But he undersized.
Yeah,
He's 6'9", he undersized, so.
Yeah. And
I
look,
like,
man,
the,
like you
Por-
said,
I like the
limited.
Portland one that you
Yeah, I think
put
Portland might be the perfect.
That was I feel like
The game already spoke out of
Yeah,
it.
and
And
then
then-
you still got Nurk for when he come back. And
Yeah.
you still got two cloggers in the paint down there. Like it's, I think you're right.
I was like, yeah, that was a
That's
good
a
one.
perfect-
And his ability, his strength in shot making, that's what hurt them in the playoffs, especially in the Western Conference Finals. Al Farouk and those guys can't really hit shots, so.
That might be the one.
Call
ideal
him so I
fit.
can be a
Oh,
Laser
Lord.
fan.
Here we
You
go.
can't have everything.
Look, we
You
wanna-
want the Eagles.
Look, we want to thank everybody
Oh,
for tuning in
Lord.
this week. I'm Files on social media, obviously, so we'll let you guys know what's going on with us next week. You got Mystics coming up. It's about to get busy, man. We look forward to it. Get over to finestmag.com as always, mymonosports.com. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you guys soon.